Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video I'm showing you my newest custom, which is mostly a repaint, but I did do some other work to it too, so we're going to talk about it. But this is the Play Arts Kai variant Venom. My customer contacted me and he wanted me to repaint the Venom to be in his classic like Lethal Protector look. So solid satin black with a very white logo on him with the white hand, and then obviously the more traditional looking head with just the eyes and the mouth. None of that extra silver on there, none of the silver or purple at all. So that's what I did. And then I also had to redo the neck joint, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And then we did some other modifications to the heads. For the open mouth head, which you can see down there by his feet, we replaced the tongue with just a standard looking tongue. He didn't want that big one in there. And then I also made two Eddie Brock heads for him. My customer wanted me to use that one Marvel Select Hulk. I don't know what it's called, but I used the Hulk head and I sculpted the really big Eddie Brock eyebrows on there and the new hair. And then for the other head, we used the same head, but I sculpted the eyebrows and hair and gave him the bottom half of one of the Venom heads. He had a cast of the Venom head, so he had me use that. And I sculpted the symbiote creeping up over his face. So let's get him off the stand and we'll look at all these parts, and then that'll be that. Okay, so for the Venom figure itself, the body from the neck down is entirely normal. It's completely standard, other than I had to free up the torso. So this piece, even though it's seated properly, it's technically a floating piece now, so it won't scratch as easily since white paint is super fragile. You have to be careful with that, that's all. So otherwise, the body's entirely normal. What I did was I took it completely apart and I airbrushed all of the white parts on there, because hand painting white, not a good idea if you want it to be nice and smooth. So that's all airbrushed. And then I went back in with the black by hand with a regular brush, and I painted in all of the black parts to make the white logo what it's supposed to be. So that's the way I did that. And because black you can paint by hand, no problem. It's nice and smooth. White doesn't work. So I did that for all of the parts individually, and then I reassembled the entire thing. Let me tell you, reassembling this figure almost broke my thumbs. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but they hurt really bad because the ball peg that goes from the hinge down to the torso, and then the ball peg that goes into the lower part of the torso, the ball is humongous compared to this hole that it has to go through. So that was not fun. So be aware, if you're going to use this figure for a custom, that's an issue to consider. I also modified the shoulders just a little bit so that there was no paint rub there. Now for the neck. I told you I had to modify the neck, and that's because my customer wanted the head to sit a little bit lower. But in order for me to make sure that he was satisfied with the particular look, I made it so that the head could sit lower or higher based on however he wants. You can either push it down and get the neck to sit pretty low, or the head to sit pretty low on the neck, or you can bring it up and the head's going to sit much more traditionally like the Play Arts figure did originally. So that's completely up to him. And how I did that was I remade the joint completely with a large ratcheting ball hinge with a straight peg, not a ball peg at the top. You don't want a ball peg if you want to have adjustable lengths, or if you want to make the interchangeability not likely to break. If I had put a ball peg in there like the original neck and had to make interchangeable heads, odds are they're either going to eventually get loose or completely break that ball peg or the head socket. So straight peg is what I went with, and I just put the, I sculpted holes in the heads to make them fit onto that peg snugly. And there's a certain sculpt I used to do that, which I've talked about in my Patreon videos. So I did that. So this actually has better range of motion. It has the hinge, and it'll rotate around in that socket in there, so you get that motion. Then of course the head will swivel on top of that peg also, so you get that. And then for this head, I already mentioned, well, first I guess I should mention this. I painted the eyes with the airbrush, just like I said for the body, and then I painted the teeth in black parts and mouth by hand, and of course the mouth is still nice and glossy. And then for this head, we just replaced the really long tongue with a normal looking tongue in there so that he was a little more standard looking before Venom got even a little bit more ridiculous than he already was. So everything's still functional there, just no giant tongue. Same peg situation. Of course, I painted both hands, both sets of hands the same. He didn't want me to bother with the big, goofy-looking hands. And he did have me actually, instead of just painting the web shooter holes in there, he had me actually sculpt those. I drilled those out and sculpted them. So each of the hands has an actual like web shooter hole. Now for this head, like I said, I took the Hulk head and mixed it with the Venom head and sculpted it all together to look like the symbiote was taking over. Sculpted the hair and eyebrows with Super Sculpey and the symbiote parts with Fixit Sculpt. And then this was just the standard head, which is surprisingly similar to Eddie Brock. So that's why he had me put the eyebrows on there and just the hair and then just paint it. So I gave him the stubble, and that was about that. So all of the heads fit on the pegs at whichever height he chooses. They all have the ability to sit farther down or higher up. So it's really just up to him however he wants to pose it. Right there, it looks probably a little bit too squatty based on how I have him posed, but it's not too bad. So again, he can adjust that however he wants. It's completely up to him. And now he's got the Eddie Brock head, the half and half head, the open mouth, and the regular head, all in the Lethal Protector / McFarlane style, which I'm particularly fond of. And I'm really, I kind of wish, after doing this, I kind of like the Play Arts Venom a little bit less, just because of the color variation that they did, rather than the more classic look, just because I'm a really big fan of the classic McFarlane / Lethal Protector look. So I think my customer is going to be really happy. He said he is, but he hasn't actually seen it in person, obviously. So I'm excited to see his response once he gets it in hand. Even though it was a pretty, well, relatively simple custom, there was a lot of little steps involved in it, and I'm glad they all turned out nicely. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.